All right, let's talk about a skill that, honestly, is one of the most powerful assets you can possibly have in your career, but it's often totally overlooked. We're talking about inventory management. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see it for what it really is, a genuine workplace superpower.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Imagine this. A massive factory floor has ground to a dead stop. $100 million production line just silent. Why? Because of one tiny, single missing bolt. That, my friends, is a stockout, and it is a total nightmare. But on the other hand, a warehouse just packed to the rafters with stuff nobody actually wants, well, that's just a giant money pit. And this is the core challenge of inventory, finding that perfect balance. And the scale we're dealing with here, it's just mind-blowing. I mean, think about a company like Amazon for a second. They're juggling over 350 million different products across hundreds of warehouses. This image right here gives you just a little taste of that huge, complex system. It is literally the physical heartbeat of a company. So what happens then? In that vast ocean of products, what happens when the one thing you desperately need just isn't there? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, a single missing item can send a catastrophic ripple effect through the whole system. Production stops, customer orders get delayed, the company's reputation takes a hit. That one empty spot on the shelf, that's where profits go to die.
I love this slide because this quote just nails it. It reframes the whole idea perfectly. Every single box you see in a warehouse, it's not just a product. It's a stack of cash, cold, hard cash that's just tied up, not earning any interest, and, at risk of becoming totally worthless. So when you manage inventory, you're literally managing piles and piles of money. So how in the world do we solve this puzzle? Well, it all starts with our very first tool, and I like to call it the Goldilocks order. It's all about answering one of the two most important questions in inventory. How much should we order? Not too much, not too little. We're looking for the amount that is just right.
Now, to find that just right amount, you've got to understand these two big costs that are basically at war with each other. First, you've got holding costs. Think of that as the rent, the insurance, the security for all that money just sitting on your shelves. Then you've got ordering costs. That's the paperwork, the administrative headache of actually placing an order. See the problem? If you order huge batches to cut down on ordering costs, your holding costs just skyrocket. But if you place a ton of tiny orders, your holding costs are low, but those ordering costs go through the roof. It's a classic trade-off.
And this graph is the solution. It looks a little technical, but it's actually super straightforward. Check out those two red lines. As your order size gets bigger, your ordering costs go down, but your holding costs go up. Simple enough, right? But the green line, that's the total cost. And do you see it? That sweet spot right at the very bottom of that curve? Boom, that's the magic number. It's called the economic order quantity, or EOQ. It's the just right amount, the exact order quantity that gives you the absolute lowest total cost. So here's the deal. This is your first workplace win. Seriously, remember this. You walk into your internship, you pick a key product, you figure out the ordering and holding costs, and you calculate the EOQ. Then you can walk right up to your boss and say, hey, if we start ordering this much, we will save the company money on every single order. That's how you make a real impact right away.
Okay, on to our second tool. Because finding the perfect order size, that's only half the battle. The other monster question is, when do you actually place that order? This is all about timing, and if you get the timing wrong, well, you guessed it, you either have a stock out or a warehouse full of very expensive dust collectors.
There are basically two ways to think about this, and the analogies make them super easy to remember. First up is what I call the gaslight method. You've got a trigger point, a reorder point, and the second your inventory level hits that point, ding, a light comes on and you place an order. It's triggered by an event. The other way is the calendar method. Here, you're not watching the level every second. You just check it at a regular time, like every Monday morning, and you order whatever you need to get back up to your target. It's triggered by time.
And hey, don't let this flowchart intimidate you. It's just a picture of those two ideas we just talked about. Over on the left, the Q model is just in a constant loop, always asking, are we at the low point yet? Yes? No. If it's a yes, you order. If no, you just keep waiting. On the right, the P model asks a different question. Is it Monday yet? If yes, you count your stuff and place an order. If no, you just wait for next Monday. See? Simple.
And here comes your next workplace win. You don't use the same system for everything. That would be inefficient. For your really expensive, critical items, the stuff you absolutely positively cannot run out of, you suggest the gaslight method for that tight, constant control. But for the low-cost, less critical stuff like, nuts and bolts, suggest the calendar method. You can order them all at once from the same supplier and save a ton of time and effort. That's not just managing, that's strategic thinking.
Okay, this brings us to our third and final tool, the priority code. Look, in a warehouse with thousands and thousands of different items, you just can't treat them all the same. If you try to manage everything with the same intensity, you will burn out and you will fail. The secret is to focus your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact.
And the guiding principle here is a concept you are going to see everywhere in business, the Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule. For inventory, it basically means that a small fraction of your items, we're talking maybe 15 to 20%, are going to account for 70 to 80% of your total inventory value. These are your A items, your VIPs, your superstars. And this chart shows it perfectly. This is what we call ABC analysis. You see that big yellow block on the left? Those are your A items. There aren't very many of them, but they represent the lion's share of the money. The B items are kind of in the middle, and that long green tail on the right, those are your C items. Tons and tons of different products, but their total value is basically peanuts. And this leads to your most powerful workplace win of all. Here's what you do. First, you run an ABC analysis on your department's inventory. Second, you focus like 80% of your time on managing those critical A items using that tight gaslight control model, checking forecast every day. And the C items? Use the simple calendar model and don't sweat it. And just like that, step 3, you have become the team's efficiency expert. So let's bring this all home. These aren't just some abstract ideas from a textbook, okay? This is a practical, hands-on playbook that gives you a new kind of vision. You now have 3 incredibly powerful tools in your playbook. The Goldilocks order answers how much, the reorder trigger answers when, and the priority code answers where you should focus. How much, when, and where. That is the entire game right there.
Because what you've really learned today is how to see things that other people don't. How to see waste. How to see money just sitting around doing nothing. How to see inefficiency that I promise you everyone else just walks past every single day. This isn't just about managing a warehouse. It's a fundamental business superpower for fixing hidden costs in any part of any business. So I'll leave you with this one final question. You have the playbook now. You have the superpower to see the invisible. When you walk into that new job, that new internship, what are you going to optimize first?